Chapter 15. The New Scriptures as written by Sananda, Jesus. Posted on September 11th, 2013 at 1:40 a.m. The best is yet to come, dearest ones. Some of you have become jaded, unable to receive those messages of hope because you have seen so much destruction and pain in your lives. You find it hard to believe that things can really change radically within the space of your lifetime, much less within this year. It is understandable because as human beings, you have a way of looking to the past for images of your future. When I give you information about the good times to come, you scoff and point to the news reports of conflict in the world. But I assure you, those news reports are focusing on the dwindling numbers of conflicts while avoiding discussion of the massive changes that are taking place. There are many now in your United Nations and beyond who are working to create a global ceasefire in every area of the world where conflicts remain. Relative to just 10 years ago, there are actually very few. It is difficult to maintain a war when people are sick of fighting and when the leaders who started those wars have been removed. It is not obvious to you yet because you are not the head of the newsrooms where our assignments to the hotspots around the world are made. These newsrooms are quieter than ever, and more reporters are being sent to fewer places. There will have to be a major adjustment in the thinking of those who report the news of the world to allow greater emphasis on the positive developments. It will take a little while for them to catch up because the news was controlled by reptilian forces, as we have mentioned before. It requires a much more subtle approach to reporting for journalists to understand the implications of the movement which is now taking place at every level of government in countries around the world. Those who have seen the dark side of life for so long also tend to have the jaded attitude as well, waiting for the other shoe to drop, as you describe it. Many have asked or demanded answers to the things they see in the world which anger them. They rail against Obama, for instance, accusing him of being a puppet for this cabal. They ask why Assad is allowed to remain in Syria slaughtering his people, but at the same time vilify Obama for considering intervention. It is a complex time, you see. These events will be played out in such a way as to maximize the impact for greater good. There is much more going on in the diplomatic channels than you can even imagine. These things always require a little push here, a big pronouncement there, then further rounds of back-channel negotiations before any settlement can be reached. Not all threats of intervention are carried out, as you are well aware. It is a temptation for those who think of themselves as light workers to take one or two opposite stands. One is to become irate at the first suggestion of injustice or abuse. The other is to insist on an extremely passive approach, refusing to enter the fray under any circumstances. Neither approach is effective in a real-world environment such as we are facing in this transitional moment in history. Here is a basic truth which will help the first group. What you oppose, you strengthen. Fighting fire with fire is not generally an effective way to put out a blaze. It is the old, tried and true method which created hundreds of wars on this planet and which is most effective at continuing the fighting. This, of course, was the purpose behind the chest beating and saber rattling of the reptilian race, who benefited greatly from the prophet's code, from the military-industrial money machine. This method has long been known to be contrary to peacemaking, but peacemaking was hardly considered a possibility in the past several thousand years. At the opposite end of the spectrum, the stubborn refusal to defend yourself or your neighbors when you are dealing with people who are completely disconnected from their hearts in an invitation to slaughter. This was the horrid dilemma you faced in the past, which left so many who longed for peace frustrated and sometimes blaming those who insisted on defending others who were under attack. It was the terrible moral conflict the world faced in World War II when it became necessary to rescue the Jews from annihilation. Unfortunately, the Dark Ones instigated the war and then used it as an excuse for arming everyone on this planet. You see, there is no simplistic rule for resolving conflict when there are players on the stage who have no moral compass. Fortunately, we are confident that those who are left on the world stage now do have a connection to their hearts. However slim that connection might be. They will respond to the appeals for calm, for peaceful negotiations, and for worldwide armistice because they are feeling the pressure to do so. Now is the time for the intelligent application of a firm hand, still beckoned by the threat of dire consequences for anyone who refuses to turn toward policies which are in the interests of the people. As the last few of old-fashioned dictators are brought into line by the delicate application of this pressure, their example will mark the shift from a world in which brute force reigned supreme to a new era in which compassion, forgiveness, harmony, and joy will rule the world. There are now extremely capable and talented people working for the light, most of whom are not well known, but have been laying the groundwork for the shift which is now taking place. I assure you, no area of life has been ignored in their quest for solutions to the interwoven nest of structures, philosophies, legal intricacies, and conspiracies which have infested every area of your lives and which created what Mother God referred to as the darkest era in all of planet Earth's history. Do not be impatient, dear ones. It is the mark of one who has not yet prepared for ascension. Look to your inner feelings to make contact now with the knowledge you carry in your heart of why you are here now and what your contribution will be to the uplifting of every soul. Turn away from those whose manner of discourse includes accusations, slander, judgment, and an attitude of negativity. Killjoys and naysayers do not build anything worthwhile. They only tear down what others build. This is the old, the dark still echoing through the halls from earlier times, even if those earlier times were last week. Say to yourselves with a chuckle, whenever you hear those negative rants, oh, that's so 2021. Yes, we are often tickled by your slang. Ashtar is especially fond of such statements. We do observe your forms of speech, your habits of dress, and your shifting tastes within. Saint Germain is especially good at playful drama, which includes period habits and speech, as you might expect from the one who wrote Shakespeare's plays. We also are fond of using your music lyrics to get messages across to you. If you suddenly hear a tune playing in your head, one you did not think of beforehand, it is always a message from someone in higher dimensions trying to reach you. We study your forms of communication so that we can make it easier for you to hear us. I tell you these things now because we want you to know that it is a joyful place we inhabit, a place which will be the model for your new golden era on planet Earth. It is difficult for you to imagine a world in which all beings are in love with each other, with life, and with their creator, but that is the way life in the fifth dimension. As you each make a way through the portals to rejuvenation, you will also be fully immersed in the truths by which we live before you continue on your way, either back to help others on Earth or to your home planets. Many of you have already indicated your strong desire to return to ensure the success, the ascension of all others before you move on. We believe it will be an appealing prospect now that you will be working with people in a new state of freedom and prosperity. Those who work as nurses will recognize the analogy. It will be something like being transferred from the cancer ward to the maternity ward, because there is no more disease, but only the celebration of new life. Can you adapt yourself to endless happiness and love, dear ones? Can you lead the way to teach others how to create their own lives out of the fabric of feeling and thought which produces the product which is in your current life experience? Can you learn to be mindful of your every thought, feeling, and action, and allow only which bring you and others happiness? Can you learn to expect the best from those around you and thereby inspire them to reach higher? Can you learn to forgive yourself for all the times you lost your temper or disappointed a friend or started an argument because you were feeling grumpy? Can you ask others to forgive you as well? Begin now to be the person you always wanted to be. Cultivate kindness with as much earnest effort as you have applied to earning money. Climb the ascension ladder now that you no longer need to scale the corporate ladder. Find fulfillment in your relationships. Find beauty in the children and open your eyes wide to the wonders around you. The skies are now bluer. The oceans are gradually being restored to their pristine state, and the radiation in your soil has been neutralized by the galactic brothers and sisters who have brought their advanced technologies to help Mother Earth restore itself to the Eden she once was. You no longer need to fear nuclear annihilation. Those days have been brought to an end. Your planet was rescued, although you are not yet aware of it, from the inevitable destruction which was in the works before the Intergalactic Federation of Light intervened. It was decided that another planetary explosion, like the one which ended the Atlantean civilization, would not be permitted. It is not simply a matter of rescuing human mankind. Nuclear holocaust is a cosmic event which was considered too disastrous to endure for the rest of the universe, and so your star brothers and sisters stepped in to prevent what was recognized as the inevitable end game of the reptilian occupation. Mother Earth herself also made a heartfelt plea to allow the survival of her children, human mankind, in spite of the destructiveness and pain they had brought her. She knows each one of you by the feel of your foot tail, by the energy of your connection to her, and she loves you dearly. She too had faith that you would rise to the level of the fifth dimension to keep pace with her so that you could all ascend together. She has a great heart, and the power of her love is a force that can be felt throughout the universe. She is a resource for you, and she will answer your call for sustenance, comfort, and the peace which comes from being close with nature. Look to your hearts, dear ones, to unlock the love you were born to live. Breathe deeply, anchor in the center of your being, and allow the pillar of light which shines down through your crown chakra, there at the top of your head, to flow downward through every cell in your body, awakening your memory of light and love. Reach upward to connect with your higher self, the one who knows me as a close and loving family, friend, or brother. Your higher self knows the truth of my words, lives in the atmosphere of joy and camaraderie, and knows the promise of happiness just ahead. Your higher self will be your trusted guide through this coming shift. Call on this wise and experienced part of yourself, the one who knows everything about your history, your hidden talent, and your extensive resources. Your higher self is an expert at forgiveness, joy, and unending love, and is your link to all that is. Reach up, join hands with the soul you are, and you will find God there. For in your essence, you are God, as I am. I am your brother. I am your friend. I am you, and you are me. We are one. Sananda, Jesus. Transcribed by Catherine E. May, September 10th, 2013, 12 p.m. www.honeedslight.org